Console, online. HPG connection, online. Educational module, online. All systems, nominal.
Hello, class, and welcome to On the Origin of Battlemechs Podcast, episode 14. Today we are talking about the Griffin. I am your host, Brent Stewart McKee. My co-host today is...
I'm Joshua.
So, as I said, today we are talking about the Griffin. It has the design quirks of having battle fists, a jettison-capable weapon in the PPC, it's rugged, and it's ubiquitous. An interesting note is the only house that doesn't produce Griffins themselves is the Pellin Confederation, but they do have a contract to buy them with the Turian Concordat.
Hey, look at that. The periphery supplying arms. It's not all mud farming out there.
Hey, I think we have long established that there are parts of the periphery that have tech that is higher in level than the inner sphere in certain areas.
Don't you forget it.
I have nothing but respect for anybody out there in the periphery roughing it, trying to make a better life. Don't we all have a little wanting the frontier in us?
I think that would be a fair statement.
But don't get me wrong, I love my internet.
Yeah, this is a very common, very well-known mech for most players. It's another one of those early unseen ones.
And again, we're just going to kick that can down the line.
Eventually we'll get to an unseen that doesn't have 20-something variants.
Yeah, eventually.
What I found interesting about this one is the Maxwell Manufacturing, the original designer of the Griffin, wasn't actually part of the Mackie production or the Hegemony's early Battlemech consortiums.
They were on the outside looking in, and they, as a manufacturing powerhouse, wanted a piece of that pie.
Yeah, but their manufacturing powerhouse was in work mechs, or as we would call them now, industrial mechs.
Mm-hmm. But, you know, at least it's not a big of a jump as a car manufacturer.
True. This is more like Chrysler making M4 tanks in World War II.
Yeah. But, you know, they took their shot and it paid off for them. Because with the proposed design of the GRF-1A, the Terran governments gave them a shot. And just like with GM with the Wasp and in the next module with Lang Industries and its Shadowhawk, the Griffin had some major issues with its jump jets that would get resolved over time, but it was a problem in the beginning. Another problem is the PPCs they had were actually substandard for the era because the Terran government couldn't mass produce them enough, so they offset the heat buildup by giving it a cooling jacket to, you know, mitigate that effect.
Yeah, we're looking at primitive tech. This one has a prototype PPC. What I found really interesting was that this Griffin is a 60-tonner, not a 55-ton like the rest of the Griffin line.
It is.
And it's got that, what we would consider a standard heavy mech profile later on, that 4.6, and it's got 3 jump jets.
Mm-hmm. So it's got a little bit of mobility to get it out of some tight spots, but not enough to really rely on for getting about.
At that time, 4.6, especially on a 60-ton mech, is a pretty decent movement profile.
The real problem is with that PPC and the fact that it only has 11 heat sinks, because that primitive PPC adds 15 heat.
Now, that design quirk improved cooling jacket should help with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's also, on this prototype, it's a jettison-capable PPC.
It is, which is a neat little thing because basically you have a hand actuator and it releases and you can drop the weapon and then you can brawl with your 2 fists if you need to.
Yeah, and it looks like the company went bankrupt before the 1N was developed.
Yeah, so the battle value for this guy, the 1A, is going to be 1,024 with a point value of 25. And the next model, the 1N, it came out in 2492. And between the 1A and the 1N, as mentioned, Maxwell Manufacturing went under due to, corruption. And therefore the company's assets were liquidated and Earthworks Incorporated picked up the rights for the Griffin. And really the 1N is the kid that went to summer camp and puberty hit them hard. It slimmed down, it dropped 5 tons as mentioned, but it's also faster and it has more of a punch.
Yeah, this is Karate Kid's story. Leans up, learns how to fight, jumps straight to non-prototype tech. This is all standard tech at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Still has that PPC, it's no longer prototype. Bumps its LRM5 to an LRM10. It bumps its speed from 4.63 to 5.85. It's a solid classic classic mech. Basically does pretty much what you want a skirmishing medium to do.
And it works well at long range with both the PPC and the LRMs. Got a 21 range on the LRM and the 18 on the PPC, so it doesn't have to get close to engage.
Yeah, and this is definitely your long-range fire support mech in either a kind of a light scout lance or a medium multi-purpose lance.
So it's got a battle value of 1272 and a point value of 31. And after that, according to Master Unit List, we have the Griffin 2N2, but I think that's a typo because the reference material points me to the source books and all they have listed is the 2N, and the point value of the 2N2 and the point value of the 2N are the same. So that leads me to think it's just a typo in the Master Unit List system.
Yeah, or I'd have to look at historical Operation Klondike.
When I searched it, there was no 2N2 listing.
That's really odd.
It's also odd to not have a battle value but have a point value.
Yeah, I wonder if there's an Alpha Strike Lance pack that has a Griffin 2N2.
I had not thought of that. That is a possibility.
Unfortunately, I don't have mine well organized, or I'd go look.
Listeners, write in if you know the answer. The 2N, it came out in 2751, and this is the Star League Royal unit. It was short-lived, but then it was reborn after the new Dallas Memory Core was recovered. It adds ECM, it's got a battle value of 1606 and a point value of 38.
And I think we should mention with that Royal, it gets a endosteel frame and double heat sinks, which really helps with that heat load.
Mm-hmm. And Ferro 5 Boris armor.
Yep, and it basically just uses the free tonnage to add Guardian ECM suite and swaps the LRM 10 for 2 SRM 6s.
I like this one. Still got a movement profile of 585, but the ERPPC in the right arm gives you the range punch you need, and the 2 SRM 6s, when you close with those, that packs a punch.
And since the ERPPC doesn't have a minimum range on it, that lets you shoot that up close and then follow up with the SRM 6s.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy, he feels a lot more versatile to me.
Absolutely.
But it's one of those that in MechWarrior Online, the 2N is the one everybody gets because of that ECM suite, because it's so powerful.
It's a good bit of tech.
And after that, with the collapse of manufacturing capability across the inner sphere, we go back to 1 models, specifically the 1S from Steiner in 2857. And this one, I think it's a fairly solid mixed range mech. It drops the PPC down to a large laser, the LRM-10 down to an LRM-5, adds 2 medium lasers and 4 heat sinks. So it's bumps up to 16 heat sinks. That large laser is only going to generate 8 heat, and then you've still got that LRM-5. So it's really trading long range punch for mixed range versatility.
Yeah, this is very much a medium range brawler mech.
Probably easier to maintain as well because you're not having to try and find parts for PPCs. And
I imagine they can be complicated. It's got a battle value of 1253 and a point value of 31. And after that, we come to our first named variant, the GRF-1E Sparky in 3049. And Sparky, obviously, you're going to be focusing on the energy weapons. So in the right torso, it's got a medium laser. It's got a medium laser in the left torso. It keeps that PPC in the right arm, and then it's got a medium laser in the right arm as well. And then in the left arm, it adds 2 medium lasers. Doesn't really add much in the way of sink for the heat. It's only got 13 heat sinks, so managing that heat is going to be a little tricky.
yeah. But again, we've talked about it before. It's one place where the lore and other games don't match up with Classic is how you handle running hot. So
So it's got a battle value of 1449 and a point value of 34. And we will talk about its pilot later in the show.
Then we have the Nintendo variant. The Griffin 1 DS. I have to confess to not being familiar with this one.
So this guy is an interesting model. It takes the PPC away and replaces it with a large pulse laser, and then it upgrades the LRMs to a 20. So definitely adding some firepower there. And this guy was produced by Defiance Industries, Kalon Industries, and Norse Battlemech Works. So this unit was primarily a Steiner unit and the Federated Commonwealth, until the Draconis Combine took Marduk and then captured the Norse Battlemech works on the planet, making it a factory within their border.
Okay, so that's where the DS comes from. It's a Davy and Steiner design.
And it's got a battle value of 1285 and a point value of 32.
It's an interesting weapons configuration.
I don't hate it. It does have a ridiculous amount of heat sinks, though, because it's got 14 doubles. So it can vent 28 heat. And it can only generate 16 with an alpha strike.
Yeah, it goes up to 21 if it jumps 5 and then alpha strikes. The weapon loadout, this guy really needs to be exactly at 7 hexes.
Yeah, that's the ideal spot.
And I think that's where it kind of falls down for me, because it's got such a narrow window where its weapons overlap.
Yeah, that's fair.
So otherwise it wants to be at long range shooting with that LRM-20, or up close cutting things up with that large pulse laser. Not terrible, but not something I would pick if I had other options.
So how do you feel about the 3M then?
The 3M...
Because it came out the same year in 3049, and it's got an ERPPC, so no minimum range again. It adds a small laser to the left torso, and it keeps the right torso at an LRM-20. Still keeps the 585, and it doesn't drop any armor. But the trade-off is one of the things you hate the most, an XL fusion engine.
XLs are a necessary evil in order to keep up with clan tech, because clans are running XLs. I prefer lights once they become available, just because they're a little bit more survivable than XLs. I think this 3M is a fairly solid design. It definitely knows what it wants to do a bit more than the DS, because the ERPPC and LRM-20 match up pretty much perfectly. Short, medium, long is 714, and then 21 and 23. So medium range, short range is the same. Once your LRMs are in long range, your ERPPC is already in long range. So, I think it's a good mech. That XL engine is definitely helped by the fact that this guy can stay at range. And then your heat, you can jump 5, fire your LRM-20 and your ERPPC and still sink everything.
Yeah, this one is definitely calibrated for its heat more effectively.
Yeah, it's definitely an optimized version. So yeah.
We just hate to see heat sinks go to waste, don't we?
Heat is a currency for damage, as other channels have said. And this is a resource management game. So if you've got excessive resources that you can't use, it can kind of feel like a waste. If you ever play, especially in Mega Mech, where it's easier to do, but if you ever play with like variant environments to where maybe you're fighting inside a volcano or somewhere else that generates a lot of heat, having extra heat sinks definitely helps you in that situation. Whereas when you're riding the line with this guy, you're starting to hurt a little bit because now you can't sink your alpha strike and jump. But
that's fair.
Yeah, I think this 3M for standard play is a very good mech. It knows what it wants to do, and even though it's got an XL engine, what it wants to do keeps it more out of danger than other options would. So yeah, I'd drive this. I'd definitely take it over the DS.
I'd agree with that. And the point value also agrees, because it's got a battle value of 1521, bit of a jump, and a point value of 33, less of a jump.
So our next one is another Merrick design, but this is 3066, so right before the Jihad, we're at the tail end of the clan invasion. I'm gonna guess, I haven't looked yet, folks, but I'm gonna guess, being Merrick and 3066, Word of Blake had a hand in this design.
Don't actually have that in my notes, so...
They don't mention that?
They don't mention it, but I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Intelligence from CAF shows that the Word of Blake is also fielding this variant. Our operatives noticed a level 2 containing a new Griffin, hurting a group of large mammals that had escaped a zoo.
So this guy gets the full head ejection system, much like the Wasp did in the previous module. So the 5M has a LRM-10 in the right torso, a small laser in the left torso, and a light Gauss rifle in the right arm. So switching out that PPC for light Gauss rifle, not losing much damage, just dropping 2 because a light Gauss rifle does 8 damage, but it only generates 1 heat. So this thing is drastically oversynced in my opinion because it's got 13 double heat sinks. And obviously you can't cut all of those because of integrated heat sinks as we've discussed before, but it just feels a bit like a waste. especially since you've got the XL Fusion engine. So the 5M has a battle value of 1224 and a point value of 29.
I don't know. I like this one.
I'm never unhappy with a Gauss rifle.
We already know that the Griffin wants to be a long-range sniper. That's what he does. And that light Gauss rifle is just crazy when it comes to range. I'm not going to say it's the best Griffin out there, but being able to start smacking people out at 25 hexes away is pretty dang sweet.
See, I think this is a good Griffin to hand a new player who has almost no experience or concept with the game, because they can learn about heat, but they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, although I know there's other players who feel kind of the opposite, that you want to give somebody who's new something like a Warhammer so that they have to learn heat and learn how to manage it.
I think that's dependent on the teaching style and the student. You don't want to throw people in over their head.
Most players are going to look for heat neutral mechs as much as possible, so I'd just give them a heat neutral mech.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were talking about the last Griffin, having extra heat sinks is kind of frustrating if all you ever play is standard games and you never have to worry about that heat. But at the same time, if you do start getting into exotic situations, having extra heat isn't a bad thing. Even with that, you're building 6 heat, 11 heat if you jump in Alpha Strike, and you've got 26. So yeah, I can see why you say that's excessive.
So what one do we have next on the docket?
The 6S. So we should be going back to Steiner.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one that I have bookmarked as one of my personal favorites.
Then by all means, take the lead.
This is another variant from TRO Project Phoenix. It's Lyran. It's got a light fusion engine. It's got a ERPPC, 2 ER medium lasers, and an LRM-15 with Artemis. This thing is hitting all my happy buttons. All it needs is an MML, but it's a dedicated long-range mech, so it doesn't really need that. Endosteel, light fusion, both of those are the right decision in my mind. This is another Griffin that knows exactly what it wants to do, and it stays at range, and it does what it does.
And it only really needs those ER medium lasers when something gets too close. It doesn't want to use them, but they're there as a nice little push away.
With 20 double heat sinks, if you're jumping a lot, you can start to run into heat issues, or if you have to bring those ER medium lasers into play, you can run into heat issues. But again, you can hang out at long range, stand still, and throw missiles and PPC blasts. The most interesting thing about this, I think, is the Lyran Alliance. They quote-unquote acquired the light engine technology, which apparently was developed by Wolf's Dragoons, probably tapping into their clan heritage. And so the Dragoons actually filed charges in the Second Star League courts, claiming the Lyran Alliance had stolen their intellectual property, had committed fraud, and a dozen other charges.
So copyright infringement.
Yep.
The Wolf Dragoons issued a copyright strike against the Lyran Alliance.
Yeah, or a C&D, like the mouse. Yeah, and then they didn't just stop there. They basically seized every Lyran asset they could on the planet Outreach, which is kind of crazy.
I mean, it's a major mercenary training hub. That's going to ruffle some feathers.
Yeah, I mean, technically, Outreach is basically owned by the Wolf's Dragoons because of Hans Davian gave it to them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not just a mercenary company. They are the planetary rulers. But the timing on this, again, 3066, right before the Jihad, at the tail end of the FedCom Civil War. This is the Lyran Alliance, not the Lyran Commonwealth. As out-of-universe readers and fans, we know Katrina murdered her mother and was the bad guy. In-universe, I think at this point, the Dragoons...
Spoilers.
The Dragoons... It's been out...
I'm joking.
I'd have to check the book. It might be been out longer than I've been around, or pretty close. So
it's at least a decade, so, the moratorium is lifted.
Yeah. So the Dragoons, they've got one of the best intelligence units in the sphere, and they served with Victor Steiner Davian. I'm betting they know the Lyran Alliance is the bad guys. Katrina's the bad guys. So this is probably not just an intellectual property fight. This is probably them taking economic action as part of the combat going on during the FedCom Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not explicitly stated it is, but knowing the context.
Reading between the lines.
Because that if this had happened in 3049 or 3050, the Dragoons would be like, nah, man, you just build as many many light engine mechs as you can because the clans are coming.
And we'll bill you later.
Yeah.
So it's got a battle value of 1781 and a point value of 37. And after that, we have the Griffin 6CS, a 3071 ComGuard model that, upon the factory going online, immediately fell into Word of Blake hands. So good job, guys.
Yep. CS stands for Comstar in this case.
It's got an endo steel chassis, it's got a XL Fusion engine, and it's got an improved C3. So that's a neat little bit of tech to put in there.
Yeah.
It also has in the center torso a ER medium laser, an LRM 15 with an Artemis 4 in the right torso. The C3 is in the left torso, as well as the Guardian ECM suit, and it has an ER PPC in the right arm and an ER medium laser in the left arm, with the ability to sink 24 heat with 12 double heat sinks.
Yeah, so this is basically just the 6S, except they've dropped the armor to give C3I and an ECM suite. There's been some other little tweakings in there too to make up a little extra tonnage. Like, I really want to like this guy, but it's Comstar and Word of Blake, and since I don't play Comstar and Word of Blake, I don't field this. But otherwise, I think this is a great mech.
Well, having that C3 allows you to get, targeting data from a unit that's closer, so you get a better chance to hit. What's not to love about that?
Yeah, and you don't just have that C3, you've got a Guardian ECM suite that you can turn over to ECCM to protect your targeting data to make it harder for you to be cut off from that network. Yeah, it'd be really nice if there was a 6CS2 from post Jihad that dropped that improved C3 down to a regular C3 slave, because this is a great design. You lose a little bit of armor, and you go to an XL fusion engine from a light fusion engine, but you can hang back even more than the 6S can.
You want to love it, it's just not quite there.
Yeah, and it's mostly, I don't play that faction, so I don't have access to C3I.
Well, there's always theme nights on the Wolfnet.
Yeah, Tuesday Night Fight, or play Jihad era campaign, salvage one, refit it with the standard C3S.
So it's got a battle value of 1695 and a point value of 41.
Definitely see that PV jump over the 6S, although probably due to the XL engine and the slightly less armor, the battle value drops a little bit. But after that, we move on to Liao, the Griffin 5L in 3070. So we're definitely in the Jihad at this point. So the 5L has a Jihad era Capellan design. You might have guessed it has stealth armor and an ECM suite. And if so, you were right. It's also got a plasma rifle in the right arm, 3 ER medium lasers in the left arm, and an MML5 in the left torso. This looks like a solid mech to me.
And with 14 double heat sinks, it can easily sink all of that. So yeah, it's nice. Now, plasma rifles, remind me, they're a attempt at a long-range flamer, right?
Yes, they have the range of a standard large laser, 5, 10, 15. They do 10 points of damage like a PPC. In addition to that, against units that track heat, they do 2d6 heat, and against units that don't track heat, they do an extra d6 of damage. So
that's a nice little bonus.
Yeah. So if you're shooting at vehicles or infantry, you're minimum 11 points of damage. They're a really good weapon. Their main drawback, they have ammunition, which I believe can explode like most ammunition. And then, of course, it's a limited asset. You only have so many rounds of it.
Sorry, did you say 1d6 or 2d6 of damage?
I believe it's 1d6 of damage, 2d6 of heat. Sorry, I had those. I always get those backwards.
It's 2d6 damage and 1d6 heat.
For some reason, I always get those two backwards.
Happens to everybody.
So yeah, I mean, that makes it incredibly deadly against vehicles and infantry, because you're looking at, against a vehicle or a squad of infantry or a building, 12 to 22 points of damage.
That not nothing.
No. And your average on 2d6 is 7, so theoretically you're dishing out 17 points of damage every time you shoot a non-mech unit.
And if you pick your targets well, adding heat to mech units can be also very devastating.
In Alpha Strike, multiple plasma rifles are one of the few ways you can get the heat ability out past your short range bracket, although you need more than one. I think you need 2 to get 1 point. It's 2 or 3, so you have to stack them, which there's not a lot of units units that do, so it's not hugely relevant.
More of a specialized unit formation.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is this guy was supplied to the Magistry of Canopus, but not to the Turian Concordat.
Yeah, by this time, the Trinity Alliance has kind of fallen apart, and the Magistracy and Capellans are moving closer together because the heads of those two houses have gone and gotten married.
I don't think they've officially married yet, but they're definitely on the way.
Yeah.
And it's got a battle value of 1742 and a point value of 44.
Then after that, we have the 6S Francine.
So we'll talk about the pilot of this mech later on, but this guy shows up in 3070, and it's got a battle value of 1778 and a point value of 36. It's sporting a snub-nose PPC in its right arm, 2 ER medium lasers in its left arm, an LRM-15 in the right torso, an ER medium laser in the center torso, and the left torso has a rear-mounted small laser. Not big on that, but okay. Keeps the movement profile of 585, and it's got 10 double heat sinks, so it can generate a lot of heat, and it can vent most of it.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those where you can jump your 5, shoot your snub, shoot your LRM-15, and sink all of that heat. You don't really want to be shooting those 3 ER medium lasers unless you're inside your LRM-15 range, and even then you're going to start heating up pretty quick.
This guy's also sporting a light fusion engine and some endo steel for the chassis.
So snub-nose PPC, it makes me really want to like it.
No minimum range.
No minimum range. Even better, you've got that short range of 9 hexes, which the only other weapon that has a short range that long is an LB2X. So it's almost like having a pulse PPC, just
almost
crazy long range on a jumping mech. It's a combination I really like. The LRM means you have to come in a little bit closer to get that 7 for short range on that. But with 5 jump jets, you should be able to manage your range pretty well. Pop off both of those weapons and just keep harassing. And I think that really kind of encapsulates what this mech is. It's a harassment mech, not a sniper anymore. Because that snub-nose PPC's long range is 15, and it's only doing 5 damage out there at 15 hexes.
After that, we hop on over in 3071 to the Draconis Combine with the 5K. And this unit has a light engine, and it also has heavy-duty gyros.
I'm going to have to look those heavy-duty gyros up, because that's not what I'm familiar with.
For armaments, it's got a ER medium laser in the center torso, an LRM-10 in the right torso, and a light PPC in the right arm. So hopping back over into that sniper role. With 10 double heat sinks, it can manage its heat quite effectively.
I'm not thrilled. Like, I love the jump 8. You know I love to jump more than 7.
Yeah, sorry, the movement profile is 588, so it's got those improved jump jets. Always nice to see those.
Yeah, it is giving up a lot of firepower, though.
It's true.
Normally, your mech goes down after you take 2 hits to your gyro. A heavy gyro lets you take 3 hits. Your first one, instead of doing the normal penalty, gives you a PSR penalty instead of the standard penalties for a gyro hit. It's heavier, though. It's twice as heavy as a standard gyro. And yeah, a light PPC, ER medium laser, LRM-10. This guy wants to be a ranged fighter, but he's not bringing the heat.
And that's represented in the battle value being 1390 and a point value of 33, dropping down a little bit.
I know Kurita loves their light PPCs, but I really don't think it was worth it in this case.
Like, I would rather see them drop the gyros to regular and then either put the PPC back up to a standard or maybe upgrade the other ER medium laser to a light PPC.
Yeah, this guy just doesn't have the firepower. Again, looking at it from a real world standpoint, you've got that main tank weapon and an LRM-10 and a medium laser. So, if you're supporting infantry, you can blast those light vehicles. You can shred infantry in the open with your high explosive LRM-10. You can back up and be fire support too. But it's just not impressive once it has to fight other mechs. And I think you could do your infantry support much more economically than this guy.
So after the 5K, we swing on back back to the 6S Francine 2, which is technically the same mech, but it has been heavily repaired because it has seen some heavy action on Outreach since the Wolf's Dragoons took off and then showed back up.
We should mention that the original 6S Francine was repaired by the Dragoons for this pilot.
So it's still got that snub-nose PPC. It's got 2 ER medium lasers in the left arm, an LRM-15 in the right torso, and an ER medium laser in the center torso. And it's also added the laser reflective armor, which it salvaged from the Word of Blake.
Yep, and a supercharger for the engine, also salvaged from the Word of Blake.
So it's definitely a hot rod version of the previous Francine.
Yep, and it sounds like it's optimized to fight Word of Blake.
Especially in guerrilla tactics.
Yeah, basically the same exact weapons loadout. It's just got that laser reflective armor and that supercharger. I mean, being able to run 10 is really nice. It's cool. I think this one definitely feels more story driven than it does rules driven.
Absolutely. It's taken directly from a campaign book,
Yeah. I don't like this in the sense of the game terms. I think I'd rather have the original Francine if I was going to be forced to pick between the two of them, just because that supercharger can be finicky.
Yeah.
But I love it from the flavor. It's got personality.
That it does. Speaking of personality, we have another personalized mech after it, but the battle value for the Francine 2 is 2249 with a point value of 30. So next up we have the GRF-1E2 Sparky 2.0 in 3074, and it's got a battle value of 1862 and a point value of 36. And being a Sparky, it keeps the tradition of energy weapons, and energy weapons. It's got an ER PPC in the right arm, a medium laser in the right torso, an ER medium laser in the right torso, a medium laser in the left torso, a ER medium laser in the left torso, an ER medium laser in the center torso, and a targeting computer in the left torso. It's also got ferrofibrous armor and double heat sinks, 14 of them, so 28 heat, able to handle that weapon loadout a lot better than its predecessor.
Almost.
Almost. Better is not perfect.
Yeah. I believe it's a different pilot too.
It is indeed.
This is a hilarious mech. I think it's really good though. That too many lasers, you could probably swap your medium lasers for heat sinks and be better off.
Probably, yeah.
Not that it might have room for 2 more double heat sinks if you swap those medium lasers out. But that targeting computer is really what helps it.
Oh, absolutely. You could get 1 more double heat sink at the very least, and you could probably throw a little armor on.
I'm not looking at the construction, but just looking at the critical locations, you've got 4 roll-again slots. So that leads me to believe if you pull out the 2 medium lasers, you'd have 6 roll-again slots, and you might be able to put in 2 double heat sinks.
Yeah, that'd work, I think.
But yeah, that targeting computer mixed in with that ERPPC makes this one kind of a long-range sniper.
And after Sparky 2.0, we transition over to the GRF-4R, and it came out in 3076, and it is a true Word of Blake model, unlike the 6CS. And despite that, it can be found in almost every military today because it's easy to produce and it's a reliable machine.
Yeah, this 4R, it's faster, jumps further, and I don't know if I agree with that. The loadout, it's got that snub nose, which makes me happy. It's got MML5, which I think is great. I'm just not sold on the extra tonnage for a 699 movement profile. I think a 588 with this loadout, I don't know, a light fusion engine rather than an XL, or maybe bump the MML5 up to an MML7, or heck, who knows, both.
I could see that. I mean, the mobility is nice, but it's still a 55-ton mech, so it's not like mobility is the most important thing to it.
And this is my problem with it, more so than that. Your thresholds are +3 at 7 and +4 at 10.
It just falls short.
Yeah, it falls short of getting up to that next bracket, which would actually be a +5 because it jumped. But it's well past that +7 you need to get your +3 and then +1 for jumping as a total of 4. So it just this feels wasted. This feels like you just wasted a ton of jumping capability. Could have made a tougher mech. I'm looking at it from the classic Battletech there. I'm sure that you could come up with a realistic reason for why this guy wants to be running that fast, jumping that far.
It's just that little rules lawyer in you that's like, I just want it to be a little better.
Yeah, we'll make it a little more optimized.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about this is the art and how the MML launcher looks like some sort of grapefruit with the seeds.
Like a citrus cross section.
Yeah.
So it's got a battle value of 1412 and a point value of 32. Next up, we have the 4N. Did you want to take this one since it's from your home nation?
All right. So next up is the 4N, introduced in 3083 by the Taurian Concordat. It's got that faster movement profile of 6'9", but it only jumps 6 because it uses standard jump jets. 3 ER medium lasers in the left torso, and then a single plasma rifle. So I think this guy is notable for being a production model that doesn't have a missile launcher.
Mm-hmm.
It's got that heavy-duty gyro, a light fusion engine, and endosteel, and ferro. So it's got a lot of little toys. Talked about that plasma rifle, 12 to 22 points of damage against non-heat tracking units. It's only got 20 heat dissipation, 10 double heat sinks. So this guy burns hot. Your alpha strike is 25 heat, jumps your maximum, and you're looking at 31 heat. You can sink 20 of that.
It's going to get toasty.
Yeah, this one, again, I'm not impressed. It's not as wasteful in its jumping because it doesn't use improved jump jets, so it only jumps 6. But if it had improved jump jets and you put an extra one on there, then you could have jumped 7 and gotten that sweet spot. Again, you could have dropped that engine down to a 5.8 and given yourself some more tonnage to play with.
You could even just drop one of the ER medium lasers.
And that's a difficult one because do have enough heat dissipation to jump 5 and fire all 3 ER medium lasers, but not the plasma rifle.
Mm-hmm.
Since that plasma rifle does require ammo, I'd be hesitant to get rid of the ER mediums. And that's almost how I would use it. Use it as kind of a close range brawler with the mediums, and then use that plasma rifle very sparingly, either to try and heat up a mech or go, hey, look, there's a vehicle. Let's hit it for lots of damage. Or hey, there's a squad of infantry. Let's hit them for lots of fire damage.
Or that turret in the base we're attacking is giving us trouble. Let's just deal with that.
Yeah. Otherwise, you just keep jumping 5 to get your +3, so you kind of cancel out your penalty for jumping, and then you just shoot your medium lasers. I don't know. Again, it's not what I'm impressed by, but I can see a use for it, a role for it.
So it's got a battle value of 1591 and a point value of 28. And the strange thing here is the next one we have is the 3N. So somehow jumping back.
Well, we've jumped around quite a bit. We went from the 3M to the 5M to the 6S. Then we jumped around between the 5s and 6s.
And we had some 1Es in there too.
Yeah, but those were
customs.
No, I think if you look at them, there's probably either some lore or loadout similarities between them. I don't know what they are.
Well, the 3N came out in 3093 in the Free World League, or what was the Free World League. It's got ferrofibrous armor, endosteel chassis, double heat sinks, and it's got a case 2. And for armaments, it's sporting a ER PPC in the right arm and an enhanced LRM-10 with Artemis 4 in the right torso. It has 11 double heat sinks, so it can sink 22 heat. So its ability to run and jump and fire everything is not hindered by heat management with a movement of 585.
Did you say enhanced or extended range LRMs?
They are enhanced LRM-10s.
Okay, so that's the Inner Sphere attempt to create a clan-style LRM with a reduced minimum range. So instead of having a minimum range of 6, I believe it's a minimum range of 3, and then everything else is the same.
Yep. And of course, because it's got that Artemis 4, you can treat it like an LRM-15.
Yeah, sounds like a pretty solid mech to me.
Mm-hmm.
I actually can't find the record sheet for it, though, so...
This one's from the Ale Clan Recognition Guide.
Dag-nabbed. Ale Clan.
So it's got a battle value of 1560 and a point value of 34. And after that, we come to the Griffin 6S2. This guy debuted in 3123 and is an upgrade of the 6S. And it adds a targeting computer and a case 2. So it's got the ER medium laser in the center torso, the LRM 15 clan in the right torso, targeting computer in the right torso, a C3 boosted slave in the left torso, and an ER-PPC in the right arm, with 10 double heat sinks.
So this guy sounds pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
It's mixed tech. You've got your clan weapons, your inner sphere chassis, boosted slave, case 2. Yeah, I think it sounds pretty sweet. It's going to be expensive as heck. Probably going to run a little hot because you're not using clan double heat sinks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're running the PPC and the LRM-15, that's all you can sink per turn and not gain any heat.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's a clan ERPPC, so it's doing...
No, I believe it's just a regular ERPPC. Yeah, it's only the LRM-15 that's clan. Yeah.
That's boo.
A little less exciting now.
Boo.
Just got to take it out there and, get some salvage. That's what you got to do.
Like, I don't know where this guy wants to be now, looking at him. Because you've got your long-ranged weapons and your targeting computer, so you can sit back and plink away. Again, that ERPPC LRM-15 is a great combo, but it's a clan LRM-15, so you could also get inner ERPPC, so you could get up close, have no minimum range for either, and pounding people in the face and handing out targeting data with your boosted slave, which is a boosted slave, so you can ignore one Guardian ECM, so you might be better off getting up in people's faces than one of your lance mates who has a standard C3.
So I guess it's just a little more versatile as opposed to not sure where it wants to go.
Yeah, and it runs really warm.
It does. And it's got a battle value of 1870 and a point value of 36. And then the last one we have today, the final model of the episode, is the Griffin C. And it's got a movement profile of 699, a clan ER-PPC, and a streak LRM-10 in the right arm and right torso respectively. So definitely going back to that sniper role. It's also got an XL fusion engine and an endosteel chassis, but it's an inner sphere chassis, not a clan.
No, it's full clan because it's a C, isn't it?
It's a C, but the tech level is mixed according to the record sheet from the recognition guide.
So it's got inner sphere XL engine, inner sphere endosteel chassis,
inner sphere streak LRM-10s.
Wait, no, what? Streak LRM-10s are clan tech. Inner sphere doesn't have them, at least unless this is a brand new development.
Well, this guy did come out in 3144.
I meant more rules-wise, because the last rules we had for Streak LRMs were clan only. It wasn't tech the Inner Sphere had developed yet. So I'm wondering if they didn't put Streak LRM-10 parentheses clan because it is just clan tech, or if the Inner Sphere gets Streak LRM-10s in the clan era. Yeah, because according to my TAC Ops, it's clan only. And it would make sense for it to just be a clan tech weapon, because it's got the clan ERPPC, and this is a clan mech, Griffin C. So it really wouldn't surprise me. It's got to be clan. It's got no minimum range.
So I have the most recent Battlemech manual from the Kickstarter, and it does not list Streak LRMs in its table. So if it is a new development, it must be very new.
Yeah, my bet is it's clan tech Streak LRM-10.
Yeah, you think it's a typo on the record sheet.
Or they just didn't put it on there because Streak LRM-10s are clan tech, so they didn't see a point in putting clan in parentheses.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I think it's a Streak LRM-10, which is clan tech. It's got no minimum range, which is a clan LRM thing. So I think it's safe to say this is a clan Streak LRM-10.
So it's got a battle value of 2131 and a point value of 37.
And this thing goes back to the 1N. This is the 1N done ill-clan style. Like straight up. It's got the LRM-10, it's got the PPC, but it's a clan ER-PPC and clan streak LRM-10s, which is just so good because if you don't roll your targeting number to hit, you don't spend the ammo. If you do hit, you don't roll on the cluster table. You just get 10 hits into 5-point clusters. So it's...
Also, streaks are great for heat management because if they don't lock on, they don't fire. So you can really push your limit.
Yeah, and then you take that, it's faster. Because again, going from standard tech to clan tech is a lot like going from primitive tech to standard tech. So they just bumped up the movement profile and then they gave it that jump 9. And I'm not even going to get upset about that jump 9 here because it's It's going back to that Griffin, very reliable, fire support, but now you're jumping 9. So you get your nice modifiers. This is a great Griffin.
Love it.
Okay, I'm going to complain about two extra improved jump jets, because for 2 improved jump jets, you could have dropped in either an Angel ECM to make it more like the Royal Griffin, or you could have dropped in a Beagle active probe, or you could have put in the Bloodhound active probe.
Mm-hmm.
Or even maybe the Nova Clan electronic warfare system. Not sure how heavy that is. So, okay, I am going to complain about that 2 extra jumping. But still, it's a
great mech.
Yeah.
So for notable pilots, we have, starting off the list, Mech Warrior Dropkick Darvin Webster. And he pilots a Griffin that he names Hopalong, and he's known for a unique variant of the DFA. Instead of landing on his opponent, he will rush forward and jump over the opposing mech, and just as he's over top, he'll kick out and, clip the cockpit as he does, minimizing the damage to his machine.
Yeah, it's a really cool concept.
Although I can just imagine his foot getting stuck in, he didn't get quite enough lift, and so it just catches and he goes flop forward.
Reminds me of that old artwork with mech running off the top of the hill and putting its foot through another mech's face.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we talked about the Sparky, and that was Ellie Bennett, a recruit from Sanglemore, who participated in the War of 3039 on the side of the Lyran Commonwealth, or at that time the Federated Commonwealth. And she was notable for her engagement on Alrakis, where she was trading long-range fire with Shadowhawks and Dragons, both of which are armed with AC-5 for long-range dueling, versus her PPC. And then she would close with them, and they were not prepared for her to have all those medium lasers.
And of course, in the fiction, you can ride that heat wave more efficiently.
Yeah, and so she carved them up, killing 8 Draconis Combine mechs, using her lasers to cut an E in each of the fallen mechs.
Nice little calling card. Not creepy at all.
Well, you build a personality.
Yeah.
And that's especially important with an honor culture like the Draconis Combine, where you want to call out other warriors. So by creating that calling card and gaining that fame, she probably made it easier for her to call out Draconis Combine mech warriors and engage them.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of Sparky, we have Lieutenant Natasha Ergin of the 5th FedCom RCT, and she pilots Sparky 2.0. And honestly, that's all I was able to find on her.
So Griffin 1E2 Sparky 2.0 was gifted to Natasha Ergin of the 5th FedCom RCT by her mother Ellie Bennett of the 5th Donegal Guards.
There's the through line.
Yep. And Natasha Ergin's a notable pilot, not just because she drives her mother's mech, but because during the siege of New Avalon, she got caught in the Star Lab manufacturing center in a giant maze of warehouses and was playing cat and mouse with a Blakist Grigori. She wasn't using her jump jets in order to keep out of sight as much as possible. Exchanged a bunch of fire, took some damage, but the Blakist started overheating, so she tried flanking him. He anticipated it, hit her pretty hard, and then she charged at him, firing everything she had, and at the last second, she tried to turn and slipped, and just like a baseball player sliding into home base, she wiped out the Grigori, climbed up on top of it, and because it was an Omnimech without hands, it had trouble standing back up. So she basically got on top of it like WWF Fighter and beat the ever-living crap out of it, ripping out its guts with her Griffin's hands until it stopped moving. It's a short story in Turning Point's New Avalon.
And next on the list is Mech Warrior Pears Stromsky, a member of the Bandit King Red Jack Ryan's forces. He is notorious for stomping disabled mechs' cockpits, ensuring the death of the warrior. But motivation is disputed, as he once survived the nightmare of being in a disabled mech overheating and burning, leading some to think that he's granting others a quick death, sparing them pain. Most believe he's simply a monster, and so House Davian and House Karita have both put large bounties on his head.
That's interesting and tragic on so many levels, not to mention disturbing.
There's definitely some pathos that could be written there.
Because I can, having read some of the books where pilots are deathly afraid of being trapped inside a burning mech and burning to death, having listened to documentaries about pilots talking about their buddies who had that exact same fate in dogfights over the Pacific and stuff. I can totally see him wanting to grant them a quick death so they don't suffer, especially if he's dealing with some serious psychological trauma himself.
Well, I'm sure that Bandit King Red Jack Ryan has just the best medical program. I'm sure he gets plenty of hours of counseling every year.
Undoubtedly. It's part of their health package.
So next up we have Adept Joseph McManus, a young pilot who was on Terra when Devil and Stone's coalition landed. He attempted to hide his Griffin in an industrial park in London, but was betrayed by the students and faculty of a university nearby who didn't have the devotion to Blake that Joseph did. He and others like him are the reason that to this day security services are worried about hidden Blakist fifth column. It is also noted that he was a very accomplished pilot, and if he had been given the chance to rise in the ranks of the Word of Blake, he would have. So maybe it's a good thing that that one got headed off at the pass. And last on the list we have Francine. She was born to a Wolf Dragon Subcode that was 2 weeks past graduation when the Jihad started. She and her company were part of the forces that pushed back around Harlech unit on the day after story. She scored 6 kills, showing the product of Wolf Dragoon training. When the Wolves escaped Outreach, she stayed behind with the Resistance, but then when Stacy Church returned to Outreach in 3070, she was aided by Francine's Resistance Cell, and Francine is the first Resistance fighter to formally join the Black Widows, and she was given a place in the Widow Command Lance. Our sources for today are Sarna, Battletech Battlemech Manual, Master Unit List, TRO Primitives Volume 4, Succession Wars TRO and RS, 3039 TRO, RS 3085 Unabridged Project Phoenix, Ill Clan Recognition Guide Volume 1, RS 3145 New Tech New Upgrades, Starter Book Wolf and Blake, Jihad Turning Point New Avalon.
Technical readout for Project Phoenix and the 3145 technical readout.
We are supported by our Patreons at patreon.com/on the Origin of Battlemechs. Our social media on Twitter is at Origin of Mechs. We also have a dedicated channel on the Everything Battletech Discord. Feel free to stop by and say hi. If you have any questions, requests for topics, or wish to contact us, our email is ontheoriginofbattlemechs@gmail.com. If you enjoy the show, I encourage you to let your friends know about us and to leave a review. Special thanks to my friend Laura for the intro and outro. Class dismissed. Everybody have a great day.
Peace out, Mech Warriors.
Module complete. System standby. Would you like to load the next module?